Hello and welcome to the Airbus A340, where we're going to look at building a custom DME arc in the FMC. So I thought the way to start this would be completely from scratch. So as you see, we've got a bog standard approach here set up actually at Schiphol, a huge airport over in Central Europe that has so many runways. But that's not the runway that we're going to land at. This is just to set us up. So over here, I've actually found an alternative that's not too far away by the code Echo Hotel Golf Romeo. This is actually a military airport and it's got a military approach here. So you see it's Hi-Tacan, runway 28. And yes, we could just load this up. And by the way, Tacan is just the way that militaries deal with nav radios. If we look here, the military code for this beacon is 111 X-ray. And there's the Morse Golf Zulu Romeo, but you can see there's also a frequency up here, 116.4. This is the commercial frequency, so we can still access 111 X-ray, the Tacan, by dialing that into our nav radio, 116.4. We can see, yes, I could just build a DME arc, and in fact, here is one. Here's a 10-mile DME arc. But I thought, look at this. This is quite interesting, this approach. I thought we're going to create this from scratch ourselves. So the initial point is actually a hold. And if we look here, we need to be below 20,000 feet. That's the only restriction. And here's the hold. Based around a fix on the 033 radial, we've got 2 points. One 10 miles away and one 16. And there's the hold. So we're going to start off by creating this initial point and then this point here. So let's go ahead and do that. The way that we're going to do this, all these, usually you have a 5 lettered name that you can put in for a fix, for a customized fix. But when you don't have a 5 lettered name, you have to make one yourself. And then that's what we're going to do here. Now, every point that you create yourself has to be based off an existing point that actually exists, unless you completely create a custom waypoint using your own lat long. But in this case, we don't have to do that. We see this point here is based off an existing location, which happens to be 10 nautical miles from Golf Zulu Romeo. So this point here on a bearing of 033. So on a 033 radial, this direction 10 miles away is this point. And the second point is based off the same place, the same radial, but 16 miles. So let's start off with Golf Zulu Romeo. Let's just pop that in. Currently, the aircraft is set to fly along this place. For some reason, let's just pretend Schiphol's shut down. There's been some emergency. There's some long backstory why we can no longer land here. So for now, ATC's just said Airbus A340, turn left, heading, I don't know, let's just give us an arbitrary heading, something like 200 degrees and await further instructions. So there's 200, there's 7,000 feet, we're going to hold, and we're also going to custom the speed at 250. So we're no longer paying attention to what the existing flight plan was, and we're going to start with our custom waypoint. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to put a direct in to Golf Zulu Romeo and assume that that's what ATC has now asked us to do. A340, proceed direct Golf Zulu Romeo. And there's the direct. As we're now proceeding direct Golf Zulu Romeo, you can see that line's already been put in for us. We're going to assume now ATC has said Airbus A340, expect to divert towards Echo Hotel Golf Romeo Airbase or airfield. And here we've got the name. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it, just Echo Hotel Golf Romeo. So I'm going to click on the GZR, the VOR fix, and on the new destination, I'm going to put that in. So we've got Echo Hotel, I believe it was Golf Romeo. Yeah. Echo Hotel Golf Romeo. I'm going to pop that in as the destination. If we look here, this approach is going to bring us in on runway 28. Now, I don't want to load this procedure in. I'm going to customize it. The only thing I am going to ask from this approach, if I go to the arrival, is I'm going to ignore all the approaches and just go in for runway 28. I'm going to say no star, no via, no transition, and just temp that in, just so that I have the runway in. And there's the final fix. I'm even going to delete that. I'm just going to literally have the runway itself in there, which is going to allow me to completely build this arc. So before I go any further now, I'm going to build up my hold just so that we've got somewhere to hold while we build this rest up. So we've been asked to hold on this procedure, and let's just pretend we cannot load this procedure in. We're going to have to build it up. So we're going to go GZR. So we're proceeding direct to this waypoint at the moment, and then we're going to head out on this 033 heading to 10 miles DME. So I'm going to program that in the FMC. So we've got the GZR waypoint. Let's build a second one. And in order to head out on a heading of 033, we have to give this point 3 pieces of information. The VOR, GZR, slash, then the heading, always the heading next, in other words 033, then another slash, and then the distance, in this case 10. So we've got GZR in there, / 033, which is the heading, then / 10, which is the distance. Program that in. There we have it. P, in this case it's renamed it to PBD05. And these numbers will keep adding on as we create more of them. So that looks about right. Let's temp that in and add the next one. So it's going to be GZR 033 once again, and this time /16. So there's GZR /033 /16. Boom. Temp that in. There we see the line. It's looking okay. So we'll press OK. This time we've got to hold there. So let's click this custom waypoint. Let's click on the hold. If we see here, the inbound course is going to be 033. So let's put that in. We can already see its right hand turns. And the actual hold is not based on time, but based on a distance. And if we look here, that distance between 10 and 16 is a 6 mile hold. So let's come over here. Let's put in a slash and let's put in 6.0. And there we have it. Let's now temp that in and have a little look. Okay. Doesn't actually appear on the thing there. Let's zoom in. Okay. Sometimes there's a bit of a visual bug still in the A340. It doesn't actually draw the hold in, but based off my experience, the hold always works. And in order to make this happen a little quicker, I'm going to assume that ATC has said A340 proceed direct to the hold. So let's come over to the direct page and proceed direct to PBD06 direct, and there's the hold. Now it's drawn in the hold. That's great. It's actually given us a teardrop entry, which is exactly what you'd expect as we are entering the hold from an angle greater than 70 degrees. So that's perfect. So while this is in the hold, we don't have to worry about it. It's just going to go round and round. Let's focus on building the next waypoint. Whoops. So as we exit the hold, we see we're going to come out. We'll be on the 033 heading. Our first waypoint afterwards is going to be 20 miles away from GZR on a bearing of 018. So GZR /018/20. We'll pop that in there. And we look here, have we got any restrictions? Yes, we need to be below 9,000 feet, or flight level 090 in this case. So let's come over here on the alt constraint page. I think we can put in a 9,000 or less. Yes. Okay, it's got alt error because it doesn't think we can get there, but we've got the 090 or less. So let's temp that in. It's asking us to decelerate at this point. Let's just temp the change in and clear out that decel message. It's wanting us to slow right down, but we're going to ignore that for now. Let's continue building up this arc. Probably what's it wanting us to hold at? Do you know what? Let's let the autopilot choose. It's actually keeping us at 250 for now, so that's fine. So we've got this point in, which is the hold as well. We've got this point in. You can actually see our aircraft coming over the map here. Let's put this point in. GZR 00816. Scroll that along. GZR /008/16 DME. And take a little look. We can see this is starting to take shape. Let's OK that. Let's come over to the next one. We see it's actually the original fix, but we're going to put it in as a new waypoint. So GZR 033/10. GZR /003. Sorry, GZR. Is it 003 or 0? It was 033/10 DME. There we have it. Back here. Looking good. So we'll temp that in. Now let's focus on building this arc. So as you see, there's only a single waypoint, and that is the waypoint when we turn in. We cannot build an arc custom just by putting in a single waypoint. The way that we have to do it is add a new point every 15 degrees. So in order to make this easy, I'm going to create my first waypoint on a heading of 045. I know that's not 15 degrees, but it's going to make my future points easier. So we've got 033, and as it is less than 15 degrees, that's fine. So we're going to go GZR /045/10. So back over here, GZR /045/10. Click that in. Let's take a quick look, and that's the first point of the arc, which is fine. And now we're going to just add 15 degrees and repeat process. So we've got GZR. Let's add 15 degrees onto 045, gives us 060. And keep the DME the same, 10. Let's take a quick look. That looks fine. Okay. GZR /060 as we add another 15 degrees onto 45 and keep the DME arc the same, 10. I'm just going to trust that looks okay. I'm going to go GZR, add another 15 degrees on, 075 and 10 nautical miles. Let's take a quick look. That's building up nicely. Let's OK that. And here we can see we've got this arc. If we take a look, there's GZR, and this arc's going to continue around here all the way until 87 degrees. Can we actually view? No. Okay. Let's place my final point in there, which is GZR 087/10, and at that point we start turning into the runway. So GZR /087/10 DME. Place that in and we'll OK it. Let's come over to the plan page so it's not going to keep spinning round. So we're on this hold now as is prescribed. Let's have a look here. We're on this racetrack here. And we see we exit, if I just zoom out a little bit, we exit out the top of the hold, come to the left and swing round back into this arc, which is this bit here. So far looking so good. Let's come over to the next point. Looks like we're not going to make that point, but we require it for the altitude on this one. We need, at this point, sorry, let's ignore what I just said. At this point here, this 10 mile 1087, that's where we turn in. We see we need to be 2,000 feet or above. So let's come over to that point, which was the last one we put in. Click on the info here, and let's put in 2,000 or plus. Just to let the FMC know there's that height restriction, and we'll OK that. Let's come to build the next point now. I'm going to ignore this one because again we're cutting it out. The next one is going to be GZR 278 degrees, but we need the reciprocal of it. If we look at that is 098, because the radial of GZR is 098. Again, we're coming from this beacon this way to create the point, even though we're actually going to be flying this way. So it's important not to mix them up like I nearly did. Let's get GZR 0986. GZR /098/6. That's going to be the next waypoint. Let's have a little look. And there we see it. And there's the runway. So that's looking good. So we'll temp that in. Do we have any restrictions for that point? It would seem we have to be 1,500 feet or above. So let's click on this one. Alt constraint. Let's just pop in 1,500. Remember the previous restriction was 2,000 feet. So we definitely need to be between those two. So let's temp that in. Okay. Let's move along. Next one is going to be GZR distance 3.7. Let's see if we can actually do that. And we've got still the 098. So we've got GZR /098. Let's see if we can put a part. I know you can in the Boeing distance 3.7, or certainly the Zebo one. You can. They added that not too long ago. Can we do it here? Seems that we can, which is brilliant. Okay, that's nice. Let's zoom in a little bit. Zoom in all the way. If we see we've just added this point, let's move along so we're centered. There was the 1,500 to 2,000 point. They've truncated the info slightly. And there was our latest waypoint. Let's just call it custom 16. And then last but not least, we've got a 1 DME GZR point. I think that's so close that I'm not going to bother with it. It's certainly our missed approach point. So let's keep the final one. GZR 3.7 miles. The altitude was 780 feet. So let's come here. We need to be at least 780 feet. So do you know what? I'm going to manually put in that I actually want to be 780 feet. By that point, no ifs or buts. So let's put that in. Let's temp that in. And now we see we've got the final point that we've entered there. Here's the runway. The way that we're going to join those up is just to delete that discontinuity. Temp that in, and now we see we've got that line built. So if we zoom out now, I'll zoom in slightly actually and come back to the top of the flight plan. We're currently in the prescribed hold, which is a 60 ME. I'm now going to exit that hold, and let's assume that ATC has said Airbus A340, you are clear to exit the hold and continue the track as prescribed. So Let's come over to the immediate exit button. And we see we're almost at the end anyway, but we've cut off around half a mile or so. Let's come over to the arc. It's actually autopilot keeping us at green dot speed. So at this point we have completed the end of the mission. The planning stage. Let's have a look at the descent. And it seems minimums is going to be 365 on the radalt. So let's come to the performance. Descent. Approach. On the decision height, let's get 365. QNH is going to be... do we have any ATIS info at this base? Let's have a listen. Let's ask on the airport. ATIS. Seems not, so I'm just going to pick EHAM because it's so close. Just purely for the ATIS info. In fact, do you know what? I'm just going to cheat and do it this way. No weather info. Oh, there we go. Refresh. Alright, QNH 1022. Let's switch over. I'm going to dial that in already. 1022. This isn't at all a tutorial on how to do this approach. Please don't think it is. 11 degrees on the temp. Winds are 230 at 9. Got the decision height in, so I'm going to OK with all that. Let's come back to the flight plan. You can see as we haven't yet exited the hold, although we've been asked to exit the hold, we obviously need to continue the procedure until that point, which is here. The entire time we do got the option to re-enter the hold. We lose that option as soon as we pass this next point, which is going to happen any sec now. So there we have it. We're now proceeding left on with the prescribed track. Do we got any altitude restrictions? It seems that the highest obstacle in the entire area is 1,800 feet below, and in the northern sector 2,200. So I'm certainly going to say, you know what, it's safe to descend to 2,200 feet. Let's assume ATC's just said 3,000 for now. So I'm just going to get a managed descent down to 3,000 feet. And that literally is the end of the tutorial. We're actually going to fly this DME arc now. And clearly there's no ILS or anything like that put into the system. So at some point along this final step, I'm going to disconnect. But the autopilot should put me in the right place at the right height. I'm probably going to have to manage my speed somewhat. So I think what I'm going to do is pull that now and wind it back to 240 knots and manage it myself. And we're literally navigating away between all these custom waypoints now. In fact, if we have a look here, can we overlay? Yeah, there we are. Heading towards this one. let's give ourselves a little marker for the runway. So we're landing at Echo Hotel Golf Romeo 28. So I'm going to come over to the fix info. I'm going to update the original one. Echo Hotel Golf Romeo runway 28, I believe. And we've got a radius of 4. That's always my is everything done and dusted point. And then we've got Echo Hotel Golf Romeo 28. And the next fix is going to be based on when am I last descending, just to make sure that the speed don't run away with me. Looks like distance 6 we're going to be at 1500. At 4 is the descent. We've already got that one in. Let's go the full 10. And this is just a visual representation here. 4 miles from the runway, 10 miles from the runway. Not actually the VOR. If we'd put that point on the VOR, this line would follow exactly. But it's actually from the end of the runway, not the beacon. I'm now going to assume ATC has cleared us all the way down per the procedure to, let's have a look, to 1,500 feet. Because we're on managed mode indicated by the dot here, as well as here we're in descent mode, not open descent. Because we already put the restrictions in the FMC for these points, it's going to hold us to that. And in fact, you can see there's the height it wants us to be at. I'm just going to reduce speed a bit because we're coming in a little hot. Let's go slats 1 and let's wind that speed back for approach now. Let's go for 200 knots. Check that everything up here is as it should be. Let's switch that light on real quick. Check that the strobes are in the on position. They are there on. Landing lights can come on. We'll assume now we've been cleared to land. So let's put the nose lights on as well. The following lights are already on. We'll just give the crew a ding dong. And with that, this top light can come off. The dome light. I'll also dim these down a tad for landing. Certainly dim this one right down. Let's zoom in a little bit as well. Got the slats out but no flaps. Coming up to the eyebrows, which is the point I can let the neck slot out. I certainly don't want to be too high energy on this aircraft. It's actually quite hard to slow down if you're coming in hot. So there's the next eyebrows. So I could go flaps 2 at this point if I wanted. I just want to give myself a bit more buffer room if possible. Actually going to deploy the spoilers, or the speed brakes as it might call them, just to get that speed down. Let's get rid of them now, and I'm going to arm them as well. Let's go flap 2 and reduce speed even more. Let's get 180 in. In fact, I'm going to slow. No, I don't know, 175. That'll do. What's the landing distance? Let's take a quick look at the airfield. We've got 9,000 feet, so it's a huge runway. So with that, let's just go auto brake low. Here we are at 175, flaps 2. Runway is in sight. We're currently on the intercept there. Let's assume now we've been cleared down to 800 feet based on, if we look here, we've got final fix of 780. So let's say 800. Again, we can't put the approach button on because this is not actually a proper approach. We've just built it ourselves. I'm going to slow down even more. come to the top of the maneuvering band. Say 150. Let's dump the gear. Let's go flaps 3. Here we've got the blues to do. Cabin pressure. It always says that when I dump the gear just for a moment or two. Or shortly thereafter. Looking nice. All based on custom waypoints. Look how accurate that's brought us in. Real nice. What's the approach speed, please? Come on to the perf page. Looks like we've got 153. So let's up that actually to 153. Let's go flaps full. Ding dong the cabin once again. Cabin says ready. Spoilers are armed. Flaps are full. Auto brake minimum. 1,000 feet. Standby for disconnect. I'm going to go autopilot. Going to get rid of the flight directors. Your side, my side. Click the autopilot button again. Get the bird in. And yeah, we are a little low. Still got the auto throttle on. Going to go on to managed speed mode at this point. It just wants us to have 2 or 3 more knots, which is fine. Going to widen the speed out the way. Let's assume mist is 2.5. I'm not going to look it up. It's not important for this tutorial. Alright, the predicted path wants me to be a bit lower, as you see here, but I'm actually going off the visual pappies at this point. We've got 2 red, 2 white, so that's what I'm going to go with. And yeah, don't use the mouse too much when you're on final. Continue. Let's retard right now. Oh, that was beautiful. Reverses. Sort of the landing sort of takes place in 2 stages because of the way the wheels hang. It's real nice. Certainly slowing down. Probably going to engage the brake fan at this point. Terrain can come off. Past 80 knots. Let's idle reverse. Let's get rid of the reversers. Manual braking at this point. And with that, yeah, we're on the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to some airbase. Somewhere that I can't pronounce, by code Echo Hotel Golf Romeo. Please stay in your seats until we come to a complete stop and the military boards the plane and takes out whoever it was who was causing the bother. So whatever this story is. So there we have it. Nice. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you again. If you found it useful, leave a like. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. If you didn't, well, I'm sorry that you didn't. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.